The Lost Art Project, Veteran Voices with Andrew Cox. Preserving history, one veteran story at a time. Marine Corps League and Till Valhalla Project Ambassadors. Thanks for tuning in to the podcast that's given a voice to our veterans. The Lost Art Project, Veteran Voices with Andrew Cox. Hello, my friends, and welcome back to the Lost Art Project, Veterans Voices. Today, we're going to have a veteran voice for you, and I think you're going to have a good time. But before we get into this episode, do you enjoy the podcast? And make sure you go to the website. That's thelostart.podbean.com. It's got all kinds of good stuff on there that you can go check out. There's a couple ways you can help support us. You can do a one-time donation. You can become a patron, and that's a monthly donation. You can also go and purchase some cool gear. We just updated all the gear with the new platform and everything that we're doing. And if you have a business or something of that nature, you can advertise right here on the podcast. A big shout out to the Till Valhalla Project, man. They're still out there. They're still doing good things. You still have to go check them out. You can find them at tillvalhallaproject.com. Are you a Marine veteran? Are you missing that bond you had on active duty? Then I have a place for you. Join the only congressionally chartered Marine Corps Veteran Service Organization, the Marine Corps League. Get that brother and sisterhood back in your life. Become one of the fewer, the prouder, a Marine Corps League member. All right, we are back here. I got Lewis Hurst, better known as Rusty. But Rusty, how you doing?
I'm doing great. How about yourself?
Oh, I'm doing fantastic. It's going to be an exciting day, I think. What do you think?
Well, as long as we can maintain contact, it'll be an exceptional day.
That's true. That's true. Yeah. You got to love technology, right? It works good when it's working, but when it don't, there's nothing there.
Well, the thing about technology, as long as it works and you know how to use it, it's
Yeah.
great.
That's right. That's right. Well, Rusty, let's kind of start at the beginning for you. Where did you grow up? What was that like? And then what drew you to military service?
Well, I grew up in Columbus, Georgia. I'm a native of Columbus. Been here basically all my life.
Okay.
First out of state traveling I did was with the Marine Corps.
Oh, nice.
As far as going in the Marine Corps, there were actually five of us that ran around together, hung out. We were buddies, and three of us were actually four of us. But at that age, it was just a matter of time before we were going to get drafted. The fifth,
Yeah.
the fifth guy didn't want to. He didn't want to be left out. He was in high school. We tried to get him to stay in high school, but he wouldn't do it. So
Oh, wow. So
he
he
wanted.
he jumped out of high school early to join up.
Oh yeah, we were in the kind of reserve program, we delay program, and we all
Okay.
went in together.
Okay. Very nice. And then now what year was it that you joined up?
Joined in '66.
66? And
Yes,
then once you signed up and everything, you went to boot camp right away?
we went in June or July. I can't remember. All I know is it was hotter. You know what? So,
Yeah, it gets that way down there in South Carolina. So, what were your impressions walking into boot camp? Did you know anything ahead of time? Did you kind of know what you were getting into?
well, I mean, you watch TV, you saw the Marines, you knew what they told you on TV, what you
Right.
saw in the movies. I was a big John Wayne fan, and I felt like people good enough for John Wayne. I had never really met a Marine. Uh, our neighbor across the street, her son was in the Marine Corps. First time
Okay.
I first time I actually saw a Marine in person was that they were coming to our house to investigate his security background.
Oh, I see. Okay.
I was kind of impressed. That's a nice uniform.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, John Wayne, I mean, I don't know if there's anybody alive that did it as good as him.
Well, it's a shame that he actually never served, but
Yeah.
I think he contributed in his own way.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, absolutely. I love watching John Wayne. My dad got me hooked on all those when I was growing up. So I still watch them to this day. I'll be floating on the channels, and every time I see John Wayne, I have to stop.
I
So
like the old black and white movies.
yeah,
And my daughter could never stand those until she got sick. She was at home where she
yeah.
lived. She spent a lot of time in the house. She started watching black and white. She
Oh
told
yeah.
me, she said, I didn't realize what I was missing. So,
Yeah, absolutely. Oh man. So talk to me about your boot camp experience. What was it like for you? Did you have was it a good experience, bad experience? How was that?
well, it was a classic scenario. You don't think about it at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me. You, we were on the bus. We get to Paris Island. It's early in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody around. No crowd. No traffic. Go across, get into Paris Island. Bus pulls up. Next thing you know, there's the drill instructor.
Yeah.
He's yelling, using a little bit of profanity, screaming, and we're, people are freaking out. If you didn't know what was going on, uh,
Yeah.
it was a quick adaptation. So we got on the footsteps and the footprint, and
Mm-hmm.
the rest is history.
Yeah. 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 Now, did you spend a couple of days kind of just getting prepared, and then you eventually went over to your main platoon? Is that how that worked?
Well, no, believe it or not, when we got there, they marched. We go in, we empty our pockets, we do all the basic stuff. And, uh, they're telling you what you're going to be doing, what you need to respond to.
Mm-hmm.
Then they marched us into a big room. But when we got in that room, there were people there because a series consists of three platoons. And I
Yeah.
guess we were the last group to get there
Oh
before
wow.
they started the series. Some of these guys, they look like they've been there forever. I mean, they they had the pre-combat 1,000-yard stare. It was like they were in a state of shock. So,
Right.
but,
They had the experience. They knew what was happening.
well, they had the daily. I don't think they were actually doing any training. They did a lot of
Yeah.
listening and uh, waiting, I guess.
Yeah. 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 That makes sense. Yeah, absolutely. So, let's see. Once you picked up and with your drill instructors, you started going through, what were things that you noticed along the way, like things that stuck out to you?
Well, their uniforms were never sweaty. They didn't make
Mm,
any difference what you were doing. They never showed any perspiration or
yeah.
sweat. Everything was pressed, starched. Uh, you never saw anybody with anything other than what a regulated body weight would be.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody was fat. I never saw a fat drill instructor.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. And
It was
then,
just
oh, sorry. Go ahead.
it was just their discipline and their demeanor, and
Mm-hmm.
you pretty much know that this is what you got yourself into.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty obvious at that point whenever you're looking at them and yep, here it comes, right?
Yep. Well, I got a friend of mine that we dine with a couple times a week, and uh, his he lived out in the country. His
Hmm.
dad was his dad was a tough taskmaster. My dad was a tough taskmaster. So
Okay.
it wasn't a hard adjustment for us to make.
Oh,
I mean, there
makes
was some,
sense.
yeah, so you're used to people yelling at you.
Yeah, absolutely. So, now, how long was the boot camp whenever you went through? Was it
Well,
3 months?
I'm glad you asked because when we signed up, boot camp was 12 weeks, 3 months.
Hmm.
So when we got to Paris Island, they told us that our series that we started up, that we would be the first series going to an 8-week boot camp.
No
So we're
kidding. Wow.
we're, we're yeah we're thinking, well, this is going to be great. 8 weeks instead of 12. And then they said, but you will do everything in 8 weeks that you normally would do in 12 weeks.
Oh
You
my
will
gosh.
learn. You will learn same thing. You will go everywhere double time. You will not walk, march anywhere. You will double time everywhere. Trust me,
Oh my gosh.
they stuck to their word. So
You ran everywhere, huh? That's pretty
just
wild.
about
So they cut it down to 8. That's I mean, that's a lot crammed into 8 weeks.
One of my other buddies, we talked about McNamara got 100,000 people that he put
Hmm.
into the military, and I always told him, I said that was the only way I got in the Marine Corps was I was one of those 100,000 people, and he laughed. He said, "No, I don't think so." He said, "You would have got in anyway."
Yeah. Oh man. So now for you, that 8 weeks, did it feel rushed while you were doing that?
Well, if you've never had been there 12 weeks, you didn't know the difference. You,
Right.
you know,
Yeah.
they could have said 8 weeks and you were going to do this. You did it, and you didn't realize the difference between the pace because it was every day the same thing.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Wow. Now, what were your impressions of the training itself? I mean, do you feel it was adequate?
I think it was basically it was great training. I mean, it built self confidence. Of course, the Marine
Hmm.
Corps is going to take everybody goes down to the same level, then you
Yeah.
start all over again. And that
Right.
they start from day one building the esprit de corps, the
Hmm.
history of the Corps. People say, "What is this esprit de corps?" Well, it's the history of the Marine Corps. You live it, breathe it. You know, sometimes when you go to chow, you eat it. I remember the little, excuse me, the little red handbook.
Yeah.
I don't know if you had that, but every time we were at attention or we were on the parade deck and drill instructors weren't there, you better have that red book out.
Yeah. 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 I think ours was it was a green one, but it was basically the same thing, but it was we called it our green monster. It had
But
everything in it.
I used to always say, "You sure this is not Chairman Mao's book?" Because he was red. His book was red too.
Yeah. Oh man, that's funny. All right, so now when you joined up, did you know what you were going to do as far as the job goes?
Not really. I told you my dad was a hard taskmaster.
Hmm.
My dad always told me that I was so clumsy, such a klutz, that whatever branch of the service I got into,
Hmm.
I would probably kill myself right off the bat because I'd step on something and trip on something.
Oh,
So,
jeez.
and that, when you go back, you think about this. It's basically he's challenged. That's what it is.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I decided that he had told me in '62 that I was going to go to Vietnam. Well, in '62, I couldn't spell Vietnam, didn't know where it was, couldn't find it on
right,
a map. And then all of a sudden, 65, '66, you know, Vietnam's everywhere.
right,
So
yeah.
I felt like if I was going to go to Vietnam, of course, being in Columbus, you had Fort Benning out here. You saw the military build up at
Hmm.
Fort Benning. We dealt with soldiers every day, and
Hmm.
I just felt like it's really unusual that a lot of times if you're in a naval town,
Yeah,
you don't have a lot of people join the Navy. They go in the Army, the Air Force.
right, yeah,
Same way, so that's just crazy. I just didn't want to be in the Army. I wanted to be a little bit different.
yeah. And there's nothing wrong with joining the Marines to be different, you know?
No, no, no. Well, I wanted that. Plus, I wanted the best opportunity to get back home.
Yeah, there you
Going,
go. Yeah,
you're going to go into combat. You need somebody that knows about combat.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And the Marine Corps definitely, you look throughout history, they know a lot about it.
Oh yeah, they've been there, done that. Got the T-shirts for it.
That's true. Yeah. I love it. So when did you find out what you were going to be doing as far as your job goes?
Well, I'm gonna and when we graduated, or just before we graduated, the drill instructor,
Hmm.
we'd already taken all of our tests. The drill instructor came in. Well, first of all, they told me that there were about 20 or 30 of us that they pulled out of three platoons. We were
Okay.
down on the parade. They were on the parade deck, and they said, "Okay, you got your choice of three different opportunities
Hmm.
based on the fact that you were a high school graduate, you don't have a criminal record. One of them was C school,
Hmm.
one was embassy duty,
Mm.
and the other one was 8th and 9 Washington, D.C.
Oh, wow. Okay.
The only problem with 8th and 9, I had just got my first pair of glasses in my life, and if you couldn't wear glasses, I would have had to wear contacts. Back then,
Oh, wow.
contacts were glass.
Yeah.
Uh, and the other issues with the other two was that you had to have at least 4 years of duty, active duty,
Mm.
mostly sick. I
Yeah.
joined for 2 years, because
Oh, I see.
they had that opportunity for 2 year enlistment
Right.
with no reserve time. You
Oh,
get in
wow.
active reserve. It was
That's interesting. I didn't know they did that. That's really neat.
oh yeah, yeah. Every once in a while, I'll run into somebody that had that opportunity. And
Yeah.
the irony of it is that the other four guys I went in with, I was the
Hmm.
only one that took the 2 year list. We had
Re
two guys that took 3 years, two guys that took four.
No kidding.
Yeah,
Wow.
they said, why don't you go in for three? Why don't you go in for four? I said, well, if I survive Vietnam, when I get back, they do reenlistment bonuses or whatever opportunity. I can pick my duty station. I'll get a bonus. I said, but see, you guys got to understand the most important thing. I said, you're here for three and you're in for four. Somebody needs to come home and take care of your wives or girlfriend. They didn't
Yeah.
think they didn't think that was funny. So, but it was a running joke.
Yeah. 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 All right. Well, now, did you get picked for one of those three?
Well, I turned them down because of the length of time. Like I say, you had to join
Okay.
before 6, and I felt like if I if I survived Vietnam, came
Hmm.
home, then I'd have the opportunity to go into one of those fields if I wanted to.
Yeah, I see. Okay. All right. So did you go infantry MOS?
Well, Marines are trained. Basically, everybody's a rifleman in the Marine Corps. So I
Right.
thought, oh, 03, that would be great. And I was devastated because they said, okay, you're going to be motor transport.
Okay.
That's like taking a needle, sticking it in a balloon. I was
Yeah,
just,
I deflated it.
yeah, so the first thing goes in your head after the fact that you're depressed. It's okay. How can I eliminate the enemy with a truck?
Yeah.
So, so I mean, crazy things go into your mind. I mean, you just don't think about being a truck driver. That's not what I
Yeah.
signed up for.
Okay.
But
And now
that's what I wound up.
did you have to do training like you go to a schoolhouse and learn to drive and all that stuff, or was it on the job training?
Well, are you ready for this?
All
This
right.
okay? You ever heard of the Montford Point Marine?
Modford Point, you said?
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah.
Okay. Many years removed from the original Montford Point Marine, I
Hmm.
went to motor transport school. Guess where? Montford Point.
No
So,
kidding.
so when they talk about Montford Point Marines, I raise my hand up and they look at me like I'm crazy. I said, I've got it in my documentation. I think now they
Yeah.
call it Fort Jackson, but it used to be Montford Point.
No kidding. Wow.
Yeah.
That's very interesting. Now, are you a member of the Mumford Point club? I can't remember what they call it.
Association.
Association.
No,
Okay.
no, I've never pursued that. I'm afraid if I
Hmm.
did that, they might get angry with me. I don't know.
Yeah, I have no idea. I don't know how all that works.
But
So,
it has crossed my mind because actually, like I say, my documentation does indicate that I did train at Montford Point.
yeah. Wow, that's really cool. So you did your truck driving stuff at Modford Point, and
Correct.
then where did they assign you at that point?
Well, once you got through with that, came home on leave, wound up going to
Okay.
California to Pendleton.
All right.
They were supposedly doing jungle training there. I think it was mostly mountain training. That's all I saw. So,
There's no jungles there in San Diego.
I never. Maybe when you went down someplace in town, you might see a palm tree, but I didn't see any of those things or whatever. But anyway, I went to Pendleton, and from Pendleton we went to Vietnam, and like
Okay. Now,
we
how
actually
long were
go
you
ahead.
at Pendleton before you went to Vietnam?
It was only I would say probably no more than 3 months at that.
Okay. So you did a little bit of training, and then was assigned to whatever unit, and then immediately deployed directly to
Right,
Vietnam.
that's correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay.
But I guess the good thing about it was when I went through motor trans, some of the guys I went through boot camp with also
Hmm.
went to motor transport with me. So we
Oh,
all went
okay.
to California, and there were a couple that actually went through boot camp and motor transport with me. We wound up going to Vietnam together.
Oh, wow. Okay. That's pretty interesting. Doesn't
But
always work out that way for sure.
and that's true.
So now, what unit specifically were you assigned to within First Marine Division?
Well, actually, I wasn't in the first. I wound up, I was in the third Marine Division.
Oh, I
Uh,
see. Okay.
got third. What they did is we flew in. I tell everybody, people say, "Have you ever been to Hawaii?" I said, for about 3 hours. They land,
Yeah.
they landed the aircraft. They refueled it, replenished it. Wouldn't even let us off the aircraft. We were parked way back off
Yeah.
of an airbase someplace on the tarmac. But then we got into got into Vietnam. Went to, of course, we landed in Da Nang,
Hmm.
and I spent like maybe a day, 2 days maximum in Da
Okay.
Nang. Then I wound up going up to Phu Bai. Guy said, "Get
Oh,
on the
okay.
bus or get on the truck. You're going to Phu Bai." So I get to Phu Bai, and the sergeant that was the head of the group said, "Yeah, you guys come with me. You Marines come with me."
Right.
So we go into a tent. He throws a flap back on the tent. There's another admin sergeant sitting at the desk. I can't remember his name. And he said, "I've got you replacement." He said, "Replacement?" He said, "Yeah, they're all drivers." Well, when he said that, the admin sergeant's eyes lit up. So he said, "Well, they're going to all go to the 155 battery." And I can't remember what it was, but there was a 155 battery right
Yeah.
out behind the tent. So while they're
Okay.
standing there arguing, or not arguing, because another sergeant came in and he said, "What are these doing? What are these Marines doing here?" He said, "Well, they're replacements." He said, "What are their MOS?" He said, "They're drivers." The admin guy said, "Well, they're all going to the 155 battery." So the other sergeant said, "No, I don't think that's going to happen." He said, "There's five of them. You can take two for the 155. I'm taking the other three for the 105."
Oh, okay.
And that was a break for me, because I don't know if you've ever seen a 155 round.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and a 105
There.
was a lot lighter looking round.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. You
So we
having
went
to load and offload those things is not going to be an easy task, right?
right. And see, we got they. He said, "Go, get on the Jeep, whatever we were. I can't remember what we on." He said, "We're going to
Hmm.
go up to the signed area." We get up there. It was a 105 battery, Echo
Okay.
battery, second battalion, 12th Marine, third Marine. I get up there, check in. The guy said, so the sergeant told him that these are all replacement drivers. And he said, "Good." He said, "You're assigned with this uh, gun. You're assigned with." I'm going, I don't have no idea what's going on. I've never had artillery.
Yeah.
I was lied to in boot camp, because when they're talking about all the MOS, somebody said something about artillery or arty, and the
Uh-huh.
drill instructor said, "Are these guys?" He said, "Man, it's a piece of cake. They sit around in lawn chairs or beach chairs. They got this cord. They got this cord that's a half a mile long, and every once in a while they yank this cord and they drink their coffee." And I'm going, "That's crazy." When I got up there, I found out he lied to me. You know. So
He made
we
it
get
sound like a day at the beach.
well. That wasn't what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
Everybody thinks they're going to be an 03,
Right.
and so yeah, I was upset that not only was I a driver, I get assigned to an artillery battery.
Right.
So when you get assigned to an artillery battery, you're not just a driver; you're part of the gun crew.
Oh,
So
yeah. Okay.
even though I didn't know anything about artillery, I eventually wound up getting the secondary MOS artillery. So I really
Wow. Okay.
classify myself as an 0811. So
Nice. All right. Well, now I'm assuming there was, I mean, how steep was that learning curve? You didn't get all the training that they got going in. How was that for you doing on the job?
well, initially it was frightening. I remember the
Yeah.
first time I was actually asleep in the cab of my truck, because there was no place in the tent for me. But back then they had CP tents in the area
Hmm.
we were at Dubai. So they came out. They're beating on the side of the truck. I opened the door. "What's going on?" "Got a fireman. We got a harassment insurrection. HNI is what they call it. We
Uh-huh.
need you on the gun." I said, "I'm a driver." The guy said, "No, you don't understand. You're on the gun crew. That means you're on the gun crew. You got to get out of the truck."
Oh,
So that was
wow.
that was another uh, awakening.
Yeah.
I get out there and I'm watching what everybody's doing. The parapets were all nice. It was in the rear area too. By that
Uh-huh.
time, it was a pretty secure area. I'm thinking this is okay. Maybe I can learn how to do this. I'm watching them cut the charges, watching them load the gun. Uh, the, the mission comes down. They fire the round. They eject it. So they go around. Everybody's doing it. Finally, they said, "Okay, you're up." What do you mean I'm up? He said, "It's your turn." I don't know how to do that. Well, you're gonna learn.
Yeah.
So outside of almost blowing us up, killing everybody on my initial attempt to
Oh,
load the howitzer, it was
yeah.
it was one of those scenarios, like you see it on a comedy, you don't believe it happened. It
Yeah.
happened. But over the course of time, I took over because trucks were either sidelined or when we were up north, the monsoon and the mud was so bad, couldn't
Right.
use the truck. Everything
Mm-hmm.
was hella lifted in. So you were
Oh,
always on
wow.
the gun. So I wound up doing a lot of loading.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I cut fuses, I cut powder charges. I did variable
Wow.
time. I could do that
Yeah.
dark by field. Uh,
Uh-huh.
I did the A gunning, did all those things. So yeah,
Wow.
I earned the 0811. So,
That's amazing that I mean, I didn't realize that they would do that, take the drivers and basically, hey, you're part of it and get in there.
well, I never realized. I knew we were always short staffed. Everybody was short.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Yeah.
later on when I get home, I'm looking through the computer trying to get some documentation for scouting the
Uh-huh.
war. And I go to, I think it was a action report, and you can go
Okay.
by the individual unit. I said, well, let me pull the unit up. So I pulled up Echo Battery, Second Battalion, 12th Marine.
Mm-hmm.
Went through the various months in there, and it was consistent. There are always shortages of drivers and artillery, constant.
No kidding.
They never had enough. Never had enough.
Wow. Hmm. That's very interesting. So it makes sense why they would do that though, if you don't have
Well,
enough people, you got to get it somehow.
you can't be a rifleman.
Yeah.
You basically adapt to take on whatever mantle is available.
Yeah, absolutely.
We
Yeah.
had a guy that was a mess sergeant. He
Mm-hmm.
started out on mess duty. They
Mm-hmm.
moved the sergeant got moved, got reloaded or sent back to the state. They couldn't get anybody to take his position. They promoted him to lance corporal. Then they promoted him to corporal so he could run the mess den.
No kidding. Wow.
We
Wow.
were all short staffed.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean that makes sense. And then now while you were there, how long were you there in country?
We were there 13 months.
13 months. And did you during that time did you get like midway through or something get kind of leave or rest time or did you
Well,
just do it straight
they
through?
no, they try to you know keep your morale up. But
Mm-hmm.
there's a two types of R&R. One of them was in country R&R, and that was basically for like 2 or 3 days. It
Mm-hmm.
was in Da Nang, down in China Beach. There was actually a couple of TV series called China Beach.
Mm-hmm.
Trust me, China Beach wasn't like a TV series. It was a couple of bars you could go in and drink. They sold hamburgers. I never saw a USO show. I never saw Anne
Right.
Margaret. I never saw Bob Hope. They had a Korean uh,
Hmm.
USO show there. We saw
Yeah.
that. That was a couple 3 days, and we went
Okay.
back to the gun. Went back to the gun, and then
Mm-hmm.
you got you got to pick where you wanted to go on R&R. I
Mm-hmm.
wanted to go to Australia, but it wasn't open. So I wound up
Oh, I
going.
see.
I went to Tokyo.
Oh, no kidding. Okay. How was
I
that?
never,
Did you enjoy your time there?
oh, it was a great time. It was very enlightening for a kid that never left Georgia.
Yeah.
See,
Yeah,
see how
yeah.
I mean, you go from Georgia and the United States to Vietnam.
Mm-hmm.
That's basically a third world country. Then they
Yeah.
take you, leave you to go to Japan for a week, You see, well, everybody doesn't have to live like third world country.
Mm-hmm.
There was a lot of opportunity available in Japan. They were
Yeah.
prosperous. They were very courteous, kind, clean people.
Yeah, very true. Yeah. I enjoyed my time whenever I went to Japan. It was, I mean, they are very courteous, and it's funny that how courteous that they really are, and just in general with everybody. And then you come back to the States and it is not that way. It's
Yeah,
it's
I got
very interesting.
one of the guys that I hang out with,
Hmm.
and he actually was stationed in Korea. Excuse me, Japan. That's where he met his wife,
Oh, okay.
but she's Japanese.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
So they talk about Japan all the time. I said,
Hmm.
well, I always remind them, well, I was there once.
That's right. That's right. Now, the rest of the time that you were there in Vietnam, like what things kind of stood out to you? What were I guess the bigger aspects that kind of stood out for you?
Well, first of all, when you land in Vietnam, I'm sure you probably heard the stories 100 times. When you first get off the aircraft, I was surprised to see, even though this was in Da Nang,
Hmm.
they brought deuce and a half around with Marines on. They were guarding the aircraft. I'm thinking, uh-oh, what have I got myself into? But when you
Yeah.
when you when you step off of the aircraft, got
Uh-huh.
the intense heat and humidity, then you're overwhelmed by the smell, and you try to
Mm,
figure out, what is it that you're smelling. And
right.
the more time in country you spend, you never get accustomed to it, but then you realize what you smell. It's
Okay.
uh, so it. They talk about the burn pits and from the Gulf
Hmm.
and all these other places, but there were burn pits all over Vietnam.
Oh yeah.
But they burned human feces. They turned human feces into rice paddies.
Ugh.
You had, there was all. The odor was just atrocious.
Wow. I haven't really heard that very much about the smell, but I mean that does make sense.
We had, if you didn't have a split trench, then you had a uh, latrine. Latrine normally had
Hmm.
a quarter of a 55-gallon drum
Hmm.
under the latrine. Then
Okay.
people, they used it in order to take care of the issues that presented. They would put diesel fuel and gasoline on top of it, burn it.
Hmm. Yeah.
So that odor was in the air constantly.
Wow. Yeah. Now, were you ever on one of the working parties or whatever that had to stir it and keep it
Oh
going
yeah,
to?
oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. There's actually patches out there that you can buy that. I'm not going to use the first word, but you could.
Yeah.
I,
It's
I don't I don't think anybody I've talked to that has been to Vietnam that didn't do that. So,
yeah. Well, yeah. I kind of the same thing with in Iraq on the first when they first went into Iraq, it was the same type of deal. It's like
um,
yeah, you had to do it. So
well, when
that's
you got to go, you got to do something about it. So
and that is true. That is true because you can't hold it. That's not going to
yeah,
happen.
but see, we I know you sound crazy, but we had a lot of fun with it. I'll tell you how we had fun with it.
Okay.
When we were getting our incoming rounds.
Uh-huh.
They had spotters out there. What we
Yeah.
would do is we would put extra diesel fuel in it, fire it up, so the diesel made all that smoke, and they think they'd had secondary explosions. So, I mean, crazy, crazy things like that. So then they would think, okay, well, we've hit our target. We won't shell as much. So
Yeah.
we did stuff like
Wow. That's pretty good. Now other than that, how many fire missions would you say that you guys did while you were out there? Was it daily?
that. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, let me tell you, we had harassment insurrection, what they call 89. And that
Uh-huh.
they would, every gun did it. Okay. And
Hmm.
what they did is they rotated because you were doing like 12-hour shift. And all you would do is you'd be on the gun so that when a fire mission came down, you were basically what we would call the center platoon, even though we weren't. because that gun had the H&I duty.
Mm,
Everything was calibrated off of that gun. And the next
yeah.
night they would rotate. And there were some nights that we stayed out there 12 hours, never
Mm-hmm.
fired a round. Mission would
Mm-hmm.
come down, but they'd cancel the mission. But there were other
Right.
days, nights we went out there. I remember in September '67, when we were up at Contian, we actually got a fire mission that came down at like 1800 in the afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
We fired from 1800 until 18 or 0600 the next morning. We had
Holy
two
cow.
we fired we had two big ammo bunkers. Now you got to understand that we had 155 SPs there. We had
Mm-hmm.
4.2 mortars. We had 81 millimeter mortars,
Mm-hmm.
60 millimeter. So these big ammo bunkers supplied all of those guns, and we went through
Wow.
two ammo bunkers full of ammunition firing for the.
Holy cow. Yeah, that's a lot. That is a whole lot.
Well, it got so bad that we had to take the guns down one time and replenish the hydraulic fluid
Yeah. Huh.
because you diminish the hydraulic fluid.
That's a lot of rounds. Holy
Well, I
moly.
mean, I wrote the statistics down, but just to give you what we had coming in
Yeah.
where we were at a DMC, we had anywhere between 200 and 1,200 rounds coming in, and in from uh, the 9th to the 27th of February, we
Mm-hmm.
had over 3,000 rounds come in our position.
Wow.
That's all documented.
Yeah. And that was incoming, you said.
That was all incoming. So
Oh, wow.
we did counter battery fire. We did a lot of it. We did a lot of fire missions. A part of our
Mm-hmm.
fire missions were counter battery. We did
Okay.
all.
And you were also doing like missions that were coming in for like the infantry that were out there, whatever. They were
Right.
calling stuff in, right? Yeah.
Yeah. We had fire missions. Actually we had Army AO that
Okay.
supposed to use us. They would call us, and we actually fired on the elephants that were
Oh, okay.
carrying artillery pieces. We fired
Mm-hmm.
on uh, elephants that were doing, carrying other things. But yeah,
Yeah.
it was crazy.
Holy cow. Man.
But it's nice to know that some other branch of the service recognizes your capability.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. That gives new meaning at that point to the joint task force.
Yeah.
That's kind of really the beginnings, I guess, of really doing joint stuff was during that conflict.
Well, I know that there were times. I don't know if you know what an ontos is.
What
They got
was it?
six ontos. They call it the theme. It's a lightly armored vehicle. It has six
Hmm.
106 recoilless rifles, three on each side.
Yeah.
Have you been to the National Marine Corps Museum?
Yeah.
Have you gone to Way Street, saw that vehicle sitting in Way Street?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
That's an Ontos.
Ah, okay. Okay.
So,
I know what you're
so
talking about now.
we had Ontos up there, which the Marines had it.
Yeah.
Then, then we had what we call twin 40s from the Army. We had the quad 50s from the Army, all working perimeter with.
Wow.
Of course, we fired direct fire. We
Mm-hmm.
had beehive rounds in case we had to do fire direct fire. We
Hmm.
fired constantly for 9 Marines.
Now, the direct fire, when you did that, that's where you lower it down and you're
Right,
kind of shooting
right,
like at a mountainside or something like that.
right.
Yeah.
A howitzer design, it's not like a cannon. So people think it's the same thing, but a howitzer is actually kind of like a mortar because it has more of an arc to the ground as it goes around.
Right.
We actually were firing such a steep angle where we were at that we actually dug what we call trail pit. So that when the uh, tube recoiled, it would recoil down into the pit. Because if you didn't do that, it would hit the ground. So we had to dig the pit so that for whatever degree
Wow.
degree on the compass we were firing, uh, it would, depending on the angle of the tube, it would go down into that pit, keep the damage free.
I mean, that's almost going straight up, straight down.
Well, not quite, but almost.
Yeah.
we're,
Whew.
we're it was because we were less than 2 miles from the DMZ. If you
Oh
look at
yeah.
the map of Vietnam, you look at Con
Hmm.
Thien. I don't. Have you ever heard of Marine Square?
I have, yeah.
Yeah, Marine Square was highlighted by four posts or
Hmm.
outposts. One of them was Con Thien, one was Cam Lo, one was Dong Ha, one was Chile. So
Hmm.
I was in three of those four spots.
Oh wow,
So
no kidding.
yeah. So when you get up to the DMZ, you're basically firing over the DMZ. You're going to a high angle so that you can
Hmm.
get on the other side where you need to be.
Okay. Huh. Wow. That's pretty
So
wild, though. I mean, if you're the recoil and you're having to dig holes underneath that, so it doesn't hit the ground, that's just crazy to me.
but they tried to do a composite battery.
Uh-huh.
Uh, when Kason first got started up, they tried to come into a
Hmm.
composite battery. They were looking for volunteers, and at that time,
Hmm.
I was short in the country. I only had like a month and a half left. They said, "You want to go to Kason?" I said, "No, not no, but hell no." So, but anyway, I found out reading articles from Marines that were at Kason,
Uh-huh.
a lot of them would also at Content. Their comment was that they much rather be at Kason because Kason was over such a wide, area. They had an
Yeah.
airfield there, so you had more area for artillery impact than you did at
Mm.
Content. Because when you get 1,200 rounds someday, up to 3,000 a month into a concentrated area, it
Hmm.
gets to be tricky in the area.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Now you said, when you're getting was it over three, how many rounds did you say you calculated?
Well, from what I read when I was pulling up the information, I knew the average was probably 250 to 300 rounds. Now that covers everything. That
Yeah.
covers recoilless rifle rounds. That covers mortar rounds,
Uh-huh.
rockets.
Yeah.
Uh, the first time we got hit by a rocket, we had just moved up the continent.
Hmm.
They started dropping rockets in. Where I was at, the first few went over our position. Then they started dropping. They were ranging. One five
Mm.
five battery, 155 battery was right above it. And I'm looking like, what's going on? And next thing I know, 155, the rocket hit right beside it. 155 flipped completely over. And
Whoa.
I thought, well, this is not something you don't want to be standing up. You need to get a little lower than where you are. So
Yeah.
that that was my first experience with rockets.
Yeah. Holy cow. And that's one of the big things, that's where they get shell shock from was, just constantly being bombarded like
Yeah,
that with shells and those, but not being able to really do much going back at them. And but you guys were constantly firing back. So I mean, you were giving them just as much as you were receiving, I imagine.
right. And I'll tell you a little funny. It's not really a funny story, but it's a true story. One of the guys that was on the gun was a
Hmm.
great guy. And we were up there one day. I don't know if you've ever seen a 105. It's got a little flip up shield.
Yeah.
It's not going to stop very much. So we're out there. We get incoming. They get counter battery.
Hmm.
Battery. We come up out of the bunker, get up to the gun. We're, they're calling the fire mission. They're cutting charges. We're loading. My buddy says, you know, I wouldn't want to be a grunt. I said, what do you mean? He said, you look at those guys because the grunts coming back in. They're getting their bunkers and their holes. And because the income is coming, you want to get
Yeah.
out of the line of fire. He said, I wouldn't want to be a grunt. I said, why? Said, well, look at those guys. He said, they're out there on patrol. They're booby trapped. But I
Hmm.
mean, you forget. You go on patrol. You stand guard duty on the OP. You do all the same things these guys do. But they just go further out than we do.
Hmm.
But but they've got a job to do. This is their job. Now, how do you think they feel about us? Because if you look around, tell me how many people you see stupid enough to be standing up when they're firing 152 rounds and 120 millimeter mortars, rockets. And how many people do you see standing up doing that? And he
That's
looked
true.
around. He said, you said, you're right. I said, we're not heroes. We're just doing our job. They do their
Yeah,
job. We do our job.
that's right. And you get
So
so
yeah,
comfortable doing your job, it becomes second nature, and then it's just what you do, you know?
well, we were very fortunate. We rotated 90 and what because
Hmm.
the artillery was so intense. They started taking a lot of casualties. They
Okay.
rotated. They rotated. They were supposed to be every 30 days, but trust me, Marine Corps did not quite adhere to that. But we did go up there. We did go up there twice, uh, and the second time was worse than the first. And just try to survive every day. There, you find humor where most people wouldn't find.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. That's where that dark humor comes in that people always talk about. And that's
Well,
because you laugh about things that most people would not laugh about, you know?
true.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like sea rations. We were on sea rations for over 2 months
Hmm.
the whole time we were there, if not longer. And people would go through the sea rations and they would find something they didn't like. They'd throw it in a pit or whatever. What are you doing? We're not going to eat this stuff. Better save it because you don't know what's going to happen. Fortunately, fortunately, they saved it because there were times that we didn't even get the choppers in. And
Oh, yeah.
everybody always thinks, I mean, I never flew on a Huey the whole time I was fit.
Oh, wow.
It, it was, I think it was the 34s, the big old ugly choppers.
Hmm.
Horse. It was, those choppers. I mean, we saw uh, can't think of the name of it. It's not Chinook. But they did use Chinook, but they used the other, like a big, they call it the flying banana. We had to draw the
Oh,
choppers were giant. But we saw those. They come in and hella list stuff, bringing nets full of food, ammo, and drop it. Couldn't use the truck because they were either broken down or the roads were insecure. You couldn't get down the road. So they'd
hmm
bring the choppers. And what we would do is we'd take the ammo, bust the bundles of ammo,
hmm
and there were 2 rounds to a box, 105. That was 100 some pounds per box.
Yeah.
You're loading it on an Amtrak because
Okay.
the Amtrak is the only thing that can get down to the gun position. When
Oh,
Amtrak
right.
when Amtrak gets there, then you got to go down and unload it. So yeah,
That's so load, unload, both whenever you got it each time.
yep. You had no choice.
Yeah.
You had to use what ammo you
Wow.
had. We were firing ammo that I know dated back from Korea.
No kidding. Wow.
Yep, yep. Actually, you knew it wasn't new stuff because when you got it, it was in a metal shipping container. It
Oh,
looked like
yeah.
it looked like a small torpedo. Actually, you got to knock the end cap off, break the seal on it. Then,
Uh-huh.
if you were lucky, you get the fiber container out, which housed the round. But a
Hmm.
lot of times, they had sat so long, the moisture was in there. You had to dig out.
Oh,
I mean, yeah, it was, like I say, you had to find humor where you could. So,
yeah. Man, how did you get, were you able to get rounds out when that happened?
oh, you could get it out. You might have to tap it with an E2 or something like that to kind of loosen it
Yeah.
up a little bit. Sometimes if you just
Eesh.
left it out, it would still crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, that sounds a bit on the scary side, having to tap it to get it to move. You never know.
Well, I was telling you about learning how to do load the Howard. You,
Yeah.
you look at a 105 round, you got the canister, which holds
Hmm.
stuff powder charge. You got the projector. And
Right.
once you break it out of the fiber container, you have what they call a fiber cut. And the
Okay.
canister has like a giant primer that runs through it. Powder charges wrap around. And
Yeah.
based on what charge they call, you pull out X amount of powder charge. Then you seat the round on the canister. The round
Hmm.
cuts the core. Now, if you smart, you leave it inside the can, you leave it in the fiber cup because there's a
Mm-hmm.
felt disc in it. But you don't know what you're doing, which I did. It came out of the fiber cup, and I'm beating it on the PSP, which is a metal banded metal thing. That's
Mm-hmm.
why they jumped over the parapet. They thought I was going to kill everybody. But
Oh, jeez.
you learn how to not do that.
Yeah.
So everybody got pretty proficient. What we need to do.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you were doing it so much, you got a secondary MOS out of it. I mean,
Right. Like I
that's a
say,
lot.
I was one of those that I could by feel I could actually take off the old high explosive. If we were doing time delay or an air burst, I could take that fuse, put it on, tighten up, and with my fingers, I could set the fuse, and I knew where it had to go.
No
That
kidding.
was,
Wow.
you know, I couldn't do it now, but I did it then. So,
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh man. Wow, that's amazing. Now, so you were there total 13 months. And then at
okay.
that point, did you come back to the States, like back to Pendleton? Like, where did you end up going?
Well, when I came back to the States, they actually assigned me to Cherry Point, North Carolina.
Oh,
And I
okay.
guess I'm not quite sure it was with a Hawk missile battery. And I guess they felt like because I had an artillery background and
Hmm.
the driver, they needed somebody with an artillery background, which I still don't understand. I drove for the Hawk missile battery.
Well, that's interesting.
I never had the opportunity to learn that skill, but that maybe
Yeah.
that's a good thing. So,
Well, you weren't also you weren't in combat with that group. So,
exactly.
yeah. Yeah. Wow. Now, how long were
But
you with that group?
well, I got back to the States in February or March of '68. I got
Hmm.
out in '60. I got out in July.
July of
But I was
68, you said?
yeah, I was there
Okay.
long enough to go on a float to Puerto Rico.
Oh, no
I,
kidding.
yeah, they stuck me on mess duty for 30 days when I got back. I said, look, I've already had mess duty. It said, not according to your record. Look, I had mess duty in Vietnam. No, you didn't. Yeah, I did. They said, it's not in your record. You're going to have it again.
Oh man, they got you.
So I pulled mess duty, and actually, I went over there as PF. I mean, I was on the mess line at PFC, and
Uh-huh.
so 1 month, dude. By the time I got off mess duty, I was
Uh-huh.
still a PFC, but I had E4s and E5s that were working under me on the chow line. So
No kidding.
I swear to you, I finally had to go tell the mess sergeant.
Yeah.
That was another day. He was a sergeant. That was his original duty station.
Oh, okay.
It's for his first duty station, and he was getting ready to retire. So the Marines moved him back. That's
Uh-huh.
where he was at Cherry Point. I went
Okay.
in, knocked on the door halfway, and got permission to come in. I just wanted to know what was going on. I said, "Look, this is not right. I'm an E2, and there's E3s and E4s, and I occasionally E5 that work on the line that I supervise.
Yeah.
What do you want me to do?" I said, "Give it to the E5."
Now, did he do it?
Yeah, he did. He understood
Okay.
the logic in it, but I mean,
Yeah.
somehow it missed his original evaluation. I guess he just didn't know what was going on. And of
Oh, I
course,
see.
the sergeant was gonna argue. I mean,
Yeah.
I didn't treat him disrespectful, but he didn't know what was going on, so he had to learn what was going on. That was my job as a teacher.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, it makes sense. Wow. So, and then now what all did you get to do anything like go off the ship or anything when you went on the float?
Well, we actually did the landing, and I can't remember where we made the landing. Anyway, they were doing recon stuff. I'm driving my
Mm.
tooth and pulling a radar dish, and of course, you've got your night lights on. You don't have your full headlights. Go get your night light. So
Yeah.
we had we're going around this one curve, and the next thing I know, three guys, two of them jumped on one side of the running board, one jumped on the other side, and they got camo and going, what's going on? And they said, stop the truck. So I stopped the truck, and he's telling us that they were doing recon stuff, and we needed to be careful. And I'm scared me half to death.
Yeah.
But anyway, got down there on the float, and I argued with them. They said, "Well, you going to Puerto Rico?" No, no, no. See, you don't understand. I got back in country. I've done my mess duty. Supposed to get a 4-day liver. Well, guess what? You're going to Puerto Rico. No, no, no. You don't understand. You don't understand. And I said, well, you can't send me outside the continental United States, for 6 months. And they said,
Yeah.
well, we got you because Puerto Rico is not, it's a part of the
Ah,
United
yeah.
States.
Territory. Yeah.
So they won that argument. I get down there to add insult to injury. I drove for the mess sergeant. Well, everybody
Ah.
else, everybody else in the Hawk Missile Battery, uh, when they went to the bivouac area, they were working 8 to 5,
Uh-huh.
5 days a week with weekends off.
Yeah.
Uh, so they had a little, they put a club up in the area so they could go to the club. Well, I was driving for the sergeant. So I slept in the back of my truck as I had a tarp on. I slept in the back of my truck,
Uh-huh.
and something happened. They said the first missile battery to hit the target, they'll give them leave or liberty in this small town in Puerto Rico.
Uh-huh.
Well, how Marines are. They get in there, and one thing led to another. Next thing you know, everybody's restricted to the bivouac area.
Uh-huh.
No more 8 to 5. No more weekends off. No more movies. So the only people that go into the uh, rear area, the main camp, was the mess sergeant,
Mm-hmm.
myself, because I was the mess sergeant. So
Mm. I see.
I would take him in every morning. We would pick up supplies for the
Mm-hmm.
rest of the day, and we would pick up enough ice, blocks of ice, so that we had ice because there was no facility for refrigeration.
Oh wow. Yeah.
So we did that every day. Fortunately, because he liked to go to the NCO club, somebody had to take him. That was me. So the other guys were sitting around in their bivouac tent. I'm driving back, and where the club was, there was the
Mm-hmm.
NCO club on one side, listed on the other, an open air theater. So I pulled up, parked. I could watch the open air theater. Get out of my truck, go down to the listed club,
Yeah.
uh, get sodas, get hamburgers, whatever. Come back up my truck. So it
Nice.
it was not the life of Riley, but God looks after those who do. I'm
Yeah.
thinking so it was funny. I look at it and I think of all those guys. You got to drive for the mess sergeant. Well, in the end, it paid out.
Yeah. Worked itself out in the end. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Matter of fact, I ran into one of the guys that I told you, rank was pretty quick to come
Uh-huh.
by. Um, uh, I'm not going to name his name, but uh, he started out as a PSC.
Uh-huh.
He extended several times. So when I left Vietnam, he was a E5 up for E6. And
Wow.
yeah, he was a great guy. He was artillery trained. And when we get back
Mm-hmm.
to the state, one of those nights that I took the mess sergeant in to do whatever he wanted to do.
Yeah.
Walking down to the E club, get a couple of burgers. They had a big awning off the side of the E club,
Uh-huh.
and I hear there was a bunch of Marines up there. And I couldn't see because it was kind of dark.
Mm-hmm.
I hear all this talking. Next thing I know, I hear this voice. And I'm thinking, I know that. I know that. So I yelled out his name. He said, "Yeah, that's me." And I said, "How you doing?" He said, "Who is it?" And I told him, "Come on up here. Come on up here. We were just talking about you." I'm going, "Uh oh." So I get up and all these guys I've never seen any of these guys, and these guys started asking me all these questions about Vietnam,
Mm-hmm.
asked talking to me about stuff. the sergeant had told him, and I think, God, I'm a celebrity, didn't know it. So,
That's
like I say,
good.
it's crazy things like that. You really don't anticipate, but it just things pop up.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Wow. Man, that's wild. Now, and you said you got out in July of
So got out in
68?
68. You
Okay.
Now, I had 4 years of inactive reserve time.
Okay.
That was part of the original agreement because
Right.
if you joined for 2 years, I was always under uh, the knowledge that if you joined the Marine Corps, all Marines went to Vietnam. Well, that's not the case. A lot of
Yeah.
them didn't go to Vietnam, but
Yeah.
uh, I did. I took that chance, and I wound up going there, and I was fortunate. I came back.
Yeah.
One of the guys I told you that I joined with,
Mm-hmm.
I knew he was in the area because Dong Ha was not too far from Content,
Okay.
and he was coming back. We were on OP one night. They'd given us the challenge for the password. Marines
Mm-hmm.
were coming back in the wire. They had front night patrol. We had claymores, booby traps out there. They had a pathway. They were coming through the pathway. So we
Mm-hmm.
challenged, and we said, gave the challenge word.
Mm-hmm.
And next thing I know, the answer comes back. When I'm thinking, here we go again. I recognize this voice.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't call him by name. I just recognized the voice.
Yeah.
So the patrol came back in, and I wrote my mom a letter. Said, ask his mother where he's at. So about 3 weeks to a month later, I get a letter back telling
Uh-huh.
me he's over Dong Ha. So I asked the battery commander for my section chief. They had a run going back into Dong Ha. I said, is there any way that I could go in there and see this guy? He said, yeah, you need to be back. I'm not, look, trust me, where am I going, right? I'll be back.
Yeah.
So I go in, look him up. Sure enough, it was him. He was the one coming through the wire. He's the one that
No
gave
kidding.
the challenge. And I said, I knew you were
Wow.
here. I just didn't know where you were at.
Yeah. Small world how that works out, right?
Yep, exactly.
Have you
We would go to,
seen
go
Sorry.
ahead.
Have you seen that movie? It's fairly new. It's called Beer Run. There was based on a book as well, but it's a guy up in I think Jersey. His crew, a bunch of them went to Vietnam, and he ended up because he worked on the ships and doing different things. So he, got a job where he went to Vietnam to take all his buddies a beer. So he brought beer from back home in a pack, and he just kind of went around Vietnam trying to find all his buddies, giving them beer, and that was it. That was the whole premise of the movie. It
Well,
actually was a pretty good movie.
I never saw the movie, but I'll have to look at it, look it up on
Yeah,
my search, see where watch it. I do know the story. And I think that was a grand gesture on his part to do what he did.
yeah,
Because once you serve with somebody, they're part of your life, regardless whether you see them or don't see them. You talk to them,
very
you don't
true.
know.
Yeah.
I'll tell you another story, which is along the same, similar to that.
Mm-hmm.
We went down to Don Ho to pick up supplies.
Mm-hmm.
We were at I think at the time Camp was. We went over to Don Ho, which is the major base of the Marine. We
Mm-hmm.
get over supplies. We're loading sodas, coke, things like that back in my Deuce. And everybody likes to play the game about the coke bottles, the drink bottles. Who was
Mm-hmm.
the closest to this place or that place? I got a case of canned cokes in my hand. I'm going over to the truck, and I set them on the back of the tailgate of my Deuce, and I started laughing. The guy said, "What's so funny?" I said, "Come here." He walked over, and I picked up a six pack of the coke. I said, "Look at these." He says, "What? They're Coke. Big deal. What are you laughing at?" So, tell me where they're made at. It says here they're made in Columbus, Georgia. I said, that's where I'm from.
Now that's pretty cool.
Yeah, like I
Wow.
said, you have to find your humor wherever you can. So,
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, yeah, good point. Well, did we miss anything that you want to talk about? Well, tell us what you did once you got out too. We need to get into that.
Well, let me. We talked about content. We talked about that area up there. I will
Yeah.
actually tell you that the intensity of the artillery content uh, was. We had what we call ready bunkers, where we would cut the charges for the round that we get ready to fire.
Mm-hmm.
And we got. I was standing at. I was a gunning, which is on. If you look at the back of the howitzer, it's
Mm-hmm.
the position is over on the right side. That
Mm-hmm.
controls the elevation. We had. I was there. We had three ready bunkers hit by RPG
Mm-hmm.
or recoilless rifle rounds. They exploded. Uh, I mean, splinters went everywhere because we were using ammo boxes full of dirt, sandbags,
Yeah.
for protection. I've had three of those blown up with me really close to them, probably no more than 15 feet or maybe close. Never got hurt there. I was in two other bunkers. One of them, they landed a recoilless rifle round in the front of the bunker.
Mm-hmm.
There was probably about 2 or 3 feet of the bunker above ground. It hit and pushed the front of the bunker, and we were inside the bunker. Another time, we had a blast
Ooh.
wall, outside the bunker
Uh-huh.
because you had to have an opening to get in and out of the bunker, and you wanted to make sure that you had some way to protect yourself. So we had the blast wall.
Uh-huh.
One time, one time we got hit. It hit the blast wall, blew wood splinters and shrapnel back into the bunker. Fortunately, nobody was hit. When I wound up getting actually injured, getting my Purple Heart, we were firing counter batteries. They
Uh-huh.
were firing rockets at Camp Carroll. We started firing counter battery fire at them, so they changed direction. And people say, wonder why I'm superstitious. It's because it was on Friday the 13th.
Oh, jeez.
And they
Yeah.
just this true story. Friday the 13th, counting the rounds as they come over. I counted 12 rounds that either went over our position or landed short of our position. 13th round landed in our position, right at where the
Holy
parachute
cow.
blew me back into a bunker. I was doing variable time. Like I say, that saved my life because the guy that had replaced me was artillery trained, so they let you do what his job was in artillery.
Yeah.
But I continued to work with him. They killed him instantly. One of the other guys, he was so peppered with shrapnel that they had to medevac him out to the hospital.
No kidding.
Like I say, those are things that make you who you are, experiences that you
Yeah.
have. Uh,
Mm.
I, and a lot of people, you talk to them about being artillery. I've talked to other Marines, John Reed, or friends of mine, units
Mm-hmm.
they serve with, and you feel out of place because, like I said, I was a driving artillery. These guys rode free.
Mm-hmm.
You get to talking to them, and once you tell them you're with the 3rd Marine Division, they realize that the 3rd Marine Division is up north. So
Yeah.
they got a different respect for you, and
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
that's happened several times. I mean, various times.
Wow. Man, that
Like I
is
said,
pretty. I understand the how Friday the 13th and 13 rounds. I can see how you're superstitious. Yeah.
well, and the irony of it is, but my Purple Heart actually has the 14th of September because by the time we got the casualties up to where the corpsmen were at,
Mm.
they, it was the next day or the day that they entered it. So, but
Yeah.
it was at Friday the 13th.
Holy cow. Man. Yeah, so Friday the 13th is probably uh a little cautious holiday there if you want to look at it
Yeah,
that way for you.
I'm kind of leery though. Yeah, those days
Yeah.
too. So, and I love to tell the story because it's a good story. So,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and,
Yeah. That's a good one.
and you run into other people that have stories similar, different things
Mm-hmm.
happen. Uh, something something fell one place. I was in uh, my fighting hole, I should say my hiding hole, because you trying to get out of the line of fire. So
Mm-hmm.
first time they dropped rockets in. Like I say, the first one I saw hit when they put that 155 up. So I go
Mm.
dive into my hole, which was on the side of the parapet, was
Mm-hmm.
adjacent to the road. And I jumped in there, I crawled in there, and half the parapet was the dirt because it was all loose dirt.
Mm-hmm.
It came down on top of it. The next thing I know, I hear explosions, and all of a sudden everything got so quiet. I get all this dirt on top of it. I think
Mm-hmm.
I must be dead. So I wait for the dust to clear. Of course, you're trying to dig your hole deeper with your helmet,
Right.
trying to get it deeper. And I look over the side of my hole, and at the edge of my hole was a crater, probably about 8 feet deep, where they had fired one of the rockets in on a delayed fuse. It hit in the middle of the road, and the end of that bunker or the end of that hole, you got my pen out of my hand. The end of where the impact crater was, right on
Uh-huh.
the edge of my hole. And I thought to myself, if the wind had been blowing just a little bit harder, a
Oh
little
my
bit,
word.
so like I say, I tell everybody that being in Vietnam, I have to treat every day as a special day because every day after those was special. But there was a lot of opportunities that I had not to be.
Yeah. Yeah. Very true. Man. Yeah, those are a couple of close calls right there. Man.
When I think of all those guys get out pounding the ground, I think of when they got overrun. That one time I told you we did fire mission, did
Mm-hmm.
it all night. About the middle of the morning, about 0200, 0300,
Mm-hmm.
the they were bringing tanks back across the position across the DMC, coming up across
Mm-hmm.
the end. They called out working party. We've been firing since 1800.
Yeah.
We were tired, exhausted. So our section crew, section chief yelled out the phone, wanting to know what do you mean working parties out? What do you need us to do? And the
Oh, jeez.
word came down on the headset that we were going to be doing some manhandling. Is a is a Sherman, not Sherman, but the hat tank came back across the hill. You see the dead Marines on the back of it. What
Oh,
they wanted,
jeez.
what that's they had gotten overrun one time. I can't remember if it was 1-1, 1-9. It was horrible. They got overrun and they got overrun again. So they finally were able to go in and bring the bodies out. Next morning, down in the LZ, see
Mm-hmm.
the bodies lined up there. It was horrible.
Wow. You know, and where was that at that they were overran?
Just he was doing Operation Kingfish. Uh, I want to say it was just north of Gontian prior to getting.
And it was it an outpost?
They had walked into a bunker complex. They got
Oh, okay.
they had walked in on patrol. Uh, what I heard was they came back out the same way, which you're not supposed to do.
Yeah.
And my facts on this may be not accurate, but
Mm-hmm.
like I say, regardless what the scenario was, they lost a lot of Marines.
Yeah. Wow. Man. Well, God bless all of you for what you guys did because you paved the way for all of us. And um, so thanks for what you did and welcome home. I will say that you guys didn't get the
Yeah,
same
appreciate it.
welcome home that everybody else did. So,
But
yeah.
the positive side of that, we had gone to a Marine Corps ball. We had a general. He was not sure if he was lieutenant general, what he was. Anyway, all these were high rank.
Hmm.
I lose track of. But he actually spoke. He said, if you were a Korean War veteran and you went through the various conflicts war stuff.
Yeah.
Now everybody sit down but Vietnam veterans. So there were probably 15 to 20 of them in this big room.
Hmm.
He said, I want all you other Marines to look around, all you other veterans. He said the benefit that you got today, you got because these Marines did, they fought
Mm.
because they fought for them. That's why you got.
Yeah. Yeah. Very
That's
true.
that's just the way society was back then. Too. They
Hmm.
didn't put they were against the government and they held us accountable for something we had no control over.
Yeah.
We know we know when we got back, we did the best. We
Mm-hmm.
not there was no reason for us to hold our heads in shame or to question
Yeah.
what.
Hmm. Wow. Yeah. Yeah.
I, I, I get people today that they'll say, well, they'll say thank you for your service. My comment is always, I don't say that because
Mm-hmm.
that limits your ability. I always say thank you for serving because most
Mm.
veterans that I know continue to serve. They do their church, their school, their state government, local government.
Yeah.
They're always put back in. So that's why I say thank you for serving.
Yeah. That's a good point. I would say just about everybody that I've met or know is doing some sort of giving back in an organization, something. They're trying to do something for somebody else, and they're still serving.
And I had to fight with the VA for a long time
Hmm.
to get what I've got. So part of my mission is anytime I run into anybody from service or any family member from somebody from service, I always
Hmm.
ask, or used to be on Healthy Vet, now they've changed. Are
Hmm.
you on there? Well, no, you need to get on there. You need to get on the program. What's your
Yeah.
disability rate? Let's see what else maybe you could apply for the VA. I am not a service officer, but I can
Hmm.
tell you through my own experience
Hmm.
direction you need to take to try to make your life a little bit easier.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's work.
Absolutely.
It helps the
Yeah.
our
And Marine Corps League now has got service officers. They started that, and I'm very excited about that. In fact, we're going to have Philip Dew, I think is his name. He's the guy that's heading it up. Was hired, and he's going to come on the podcast and talk about it and stuff like that. So I'm excited to have him on.
Let's see another. There's a lot of training out there for the Marine Corps League. People,
Hmm.
if you want to know anything about the Marine Corps League, if you'll go to YouTube, and I'm not, they come to your channel too. But if they don't do podcasts, they want to go see something about the Marine Corps League. You can go in and type in Marine Corps League, hit
Hmm.
subscribe. There's all kind of training. There's all kind of information out there, and I'm waiting
Yep.
for his information to be available via the YouTube. I'm sure it's going to be a very enlightening.
Yeah. Yeah. Good point. Well, shoot. Now, what? Talk to me. I don't think we really talked about it. What did you do? After you got out of service, and like, what was your main thing? What were you doing?
Well, as a driver, you have to go with the flow. I
Yeah.
went and applied for a job. They said, "Oh, well, you got driving experience." Well, yeah. So they sent me to interview with a plumbing supply company. Well, actually, I had worked for 7-Eleven when I was going to school. That way, it gave me an opportunity to study plus
Hmm.
make a living. And it got to that point. Eventually, I said, "Enough is enough." I
Hmm.
left 7-Eleven because I was robbed twice there.
Jeez.
I was actually robbed. First time I got robbed, guy put me in stock room, put a 38 behind my ear, said he was going to do nasty things to that 38. People say, "Well, how did you retain your cool?" I was never worried about what I was going to. I was always worried about what he was going
Yeah.
to. So, I was reading a lot of Campbell soup labels and stuff like that, trying to maintain my cool. Fortunately, there were three of them. They caught all three of them. But anyway, I left that and went to work for a plumbing supply house as a driver.
Hmm.
Eventually,
Okay.
worked myself. I went from driver to dock supervisor, to warehouse manager. I left
Nice.
there and went to another plumbing supply house.
Hmm.
Worked there as a shipping manager. Worked there, left there, and went to a. I'm not sure if you ever heard of Company Service Merchandise
Hmm.
catalog show. It anyway. It was very popular. Really, uh, they had actually brick and mortar store,
Okay.
and I went to work there, and I was a warehouse manager trained. I
Hmm.
already had experience, but you got to start somewhere. I started there as
Right.
a trainee. I wound up going as warehouse manager. Then I got to be what they call third chief, which had the third set of management. And eventually got to be co-manager.
Okay.
And left there, went to work at Sam Club. They
Nice.
interviewed with Sam Club. They automatically wanted to put me on the management training program.
Yeah.
And I said, I don't think we're going to do that. Right. I'll tell you what, we'll make a deal that if you want me to do this 5 years from now and I want to do it, then we'll talk. But I said, I had enough of being management. I've
Yeah.
had enough working from open to close. So it's time for me to have me time.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But I wound up working for them and started out in the tire department. I ran the tire department. Then I went to the tire department. They found out that I had all the shipping and receiving experience. So they moved
Hmm.
me to their dock supervisor. I
Okay.
worked as I worked as their dock supervisor. Then wound up going to their hard line, which is it's Sam Club. You walk in, just the one that has all the electronics, watch
Oh, right.
drive. But anyway, I wound up going there, working there, and the electronics. I ran all their displays, electronic
Hmm.
displays, hooked all that stuff up, made sure all that was working. As a matter of fact, I think one of my proudest moments there was on 9/11. The company we had DVD. They started using DVD. I'm sorry about my pen. I was bad at it. But
Oh, you're good. You're good.
but they had two types of getting information on their TV. One of them was a disc, one was a VHS tape.
Okay.
And I couldn't put one on all of them. So they
Hmm.
started sending me discs and a tape. So they discontinued the tape. So I'm thinking, okay, well, how am I going to work this? I got
Hmm.
I got to figure out what I'm going to do to get everything playing off the DVD. Well, I sit down and drew out what I thought I was going to do. I called the local radio shop guy,
Hmm.
and asked the guy, I said, can you give me any recommendations? This is what I need. I need to
Hmm.
convert this to this. He said, oh, yeah, it's a gaming switch. I said, oh, really? You got it? Yeah, $20. So I went and got the money from the company. I went and bought it, hooked it up to the TV, ran the satellite feed into it, ran the DVDs into it, ran everything was now running on DVD or satellite. So
Wow.
the morning of 9/11, I
Hmm.
had just walked in. I was turning all my displays on, and because I was able to have everything on all of my TV,
Hmm.
I had 32 feet, or it's probably more, because I had 32 feet sections of TV that had nothing on it but 9/11. So
Wow.
people, I mean, that whole aisle was just gathered with people watching. And about a month later, I get called up to the office. They introduced me to this guy and told me he was corporate office. He was there to hook up our TV. I
Yeah.
said, well, what do you mean hook them up? Yeah, I said, well, I'm here so that, to get everything so you can run the same stuff on all the TV. We're already doing that. What do you mean you're doing it? So we've been doing this. I said, we've been doing this. As a matter of fact, we were available to do this on 9/11. He said, well, how did you do it? I said, I went and bought a $20 device and hooked it up to the TV. He said, you're a kid. I said, well, you're from corporate office, right? Yeah, they sent us down to do all this stuff. I said, well, how much is it going to cost the company for you to do it? Said, well, they pay us $600 for everything we do. Well, we really don't need you. You need to call them. We already do it.
Yeah.
So it was nice to be innovative. So
Wow. That's awesome. That's what Marines do right there.
there you
They just
go.
make it happen.
Yep. Exactly. I know
Yeah.
my wife and I were both in scouting. When we first joined scouting, our scoutmaster was a vice Vietnam veteran, wounded both times. The second time he was Army Ranger and had gone through OCS. The second time
Uh-huh.
he was there, he got a head wound. It took him over a year to learn how to walk and talk. So
Whoa.
he was our scoutmaster. He
Okay.
wanted he wanted us to go do this adult training. And, we went and did the adult training, like a free Friday, Saturday, Sunday course.
Hmm.
We did that, and during one of the courses, you have you actually have a patrol. There were anywhere between 6 to 8 people in the patrol. It was 6 an hour, but not being a scouter and everybody else had prior experience, I kind of held back and listened to what was going on.
Hmm.
And finally, one of the sessions, the guy who was our patrol guide, "Can I ask you a question?" I said, "Sure." He said, "Well, why participate?" I said, "What do you mean?" "Well, you got a lot of knowledge. You just don't say a lot." Well, these guys are professional scouters. They've been
Hmm.
scouting every year. He said, "Trust me, you got a lot of stuff to give these guys. You need to start giving." So
Hmm.
I did. We
Yeah.
were with the we were with the same scoutmaster for over 20 something years.
Very
But he
nice.
passed away.
Huh. Wow.
But I always tell people that when you walk into a room, I used to say there were three things when I go into a room that would get people's attention. First of all, if they heard something about the Marine Corps, they kind of stop, look, turn their head.
Hmm.
Then if you told them you were a Vietnam veteran, they would definitely kind of turn, look their head.
Yeah.
Then I always laugh and say, once they found out what my faith was, and a Vietnam veteran and a Marine, they'd get up and leave the room. So that was my running joke with them. So
Oh man, that's good.
I love it when my grandkids say, "Well, what war were you? Were you in World War II?" "No, I'm not that old." Were you in Korea?" "No, no." I've actually had my youngest grandson introduce me to one of his principals. He goes,
Uh,
this is my grandfather. He's a Vietnam vet. He's the only one that's ever introduced me that way.
wow, that's awesome.
Yep.
Huh. Man, that's good. And now how many kids and grandkids you got?
I have two kids. I have a daughter and a son, and I got
Okay.
four grandkids and one great granddaughter. So,
Oh wow. Okay. Very nice. So they probably keep you busy, huh?
well, they keep me as busy as I let them. I've got issues.
Yeah.
I have to restrict, like most people my age, you have to restrict some of your things that you
Yeah.
do. You still do things. You can't do everything.
Right. Yeah. 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 Makes sense.
You have
Now
to have plenty more. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say you're retired now.
I retired actually, let's see, 17, in the 70s. I think,
70s.
no, 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 no. I was 62 when I finally had to retire.
Okay. All
That was
right.
20, 2000, yeah, 2007. That's when it was. Got to
Okay.
get my head straight. 2007.
Gotcha. All right. Now, and you've been with the Marine Corps League for how long?
I started when they started our detachment here, which was in 2012. I became a member
Okay.
then. I've held a commandant position twice. I've done uh, adjutant. I've done senior vice, junior vice. I've done judge advocate. Now we started our own pound. So I'm a pound keeper. So
Wow. You're
we
doing
stay busy.
you're doing a lot of stuff.
Yep. And in the
That's
meantime,
awesome.
we try
Very
to keep
good.
everything going.
Yeah.
We love, obviously we were at the convention because that's where we met. So we try
Yeah.
to make as many conventions as we can.
Yeah. Very nice. Hmm. Well, you got anything else you want to talk about or?
No, I appreciate what you do for the veterans. And one thing, I have a lot of people that are prior military,
Hmm.
and they'll always say, "Well, I wasn't in the Marine Corps, I was in the Army, or I was
Yeah.
in another branch." And they always, to me, it's always like they're apologizing. I don't like that. I don't like that. And I always tell them, I said, you put the uniform, you are part of that 1% chose to
Hmm.
do,
Oh
regardless of
yeah.
what branch of the service you were in. So,
Absolutely.
I'll always be proud of the fact that you were that part of that 1%. But
Absolutely.
they always leave with a smile on their face. The fact that somebody appreciated whatever branch they were.
Oh yeah. And that's one of the reasons I do this is, everybody's story is important. I mean, you got guys out there that, they get the Navy SEALs or the Special Forces guys on, and don't get me wrong, very interesting stuff. I watch it. So, but w- I lost him. I'm gonna let him come back on. All right, we got you back.
Sorry about that. My hand slipped on the phone. Next thing I know, you're gone.
It's all right, no big deal. I paused it, and so everything's good. Um, I'll be honest, I don't really remember what I was going to say, but I think
We
we
were
were
just
talking about uh, different services.
right.
And how I was going to say on the podcast, I have people from every branch of the service on because I always say every veteran story is important. Whether you're famous or whether you're not, you served 2 years or you served 30 years. Everybody story should be captured like this.
Well, talking about different branches of the service. If you go, and we always say freedom's not free. You
Yeah.
go to the different cemeteries, go look at the wall. You got
Yeah.
they don't have sections for Marines and
Hmm.
airmen. They're all military. They've all
Yeah.
served their
That's
country.
right.
And special forces has their own reputation. Marines
Hmm.
have their own reputation. Uh, Now the Space Force got to develop theirs. So
Yeah.
just
Very true.
a matter of your legacy, And I'm
Hmm.
proud to have had the opportunity to step on those yellow footprints. So,
Yeah.
far as I
Absolutely.
know, nobody in my family. We've had Navy personnel, people retired out of the Navy, got them
Hmm.
in the Air Force, out of the Army. Nobody. I'm the
Yeah.
only one I know that's the Corps.
Oh, wow. Very nice. So you can hold that over everybody's head then. Yeah, that's good.
Well, I gives me an excuse for being crazy.
I love it. Well, hey, toward the end of the podcast here, I always ask these rapid fire questions. Are you game to answer some questions?
Sure, go ahead.
All right. What is your proudest military moment?
Surviving Vietnam,
That's a good one. All right. What is your most embarrassing military moment?
burning the crappers of Vietnam.
Okay.
I'll,
If
I'll
you
tell you,
could,
tell you a quick story.
yeah,
We
go
were
ahead.
up on the hill. They told us, they said, okay, we got a photographer's coming in and journalists coming in. Back then, we had what they called, okay, piss tubes. They were
Okay.
these fiber containers that the ground came in of the metal was so it's about. They were buried in the ground. Part of it was. It's kind of like a upright urinal type thing. So
Okay.
they said, make sure that with got a woman that's going to be in there. French journalist. So choppers came in and out. Choppers came in and out. So finally, later in the afternoon, everybody said, "Okay, you're not going to worry about this anymore." So we're using the urinals. Next thing I know, I hear a conversation behind me, and I turn around. Here's this French journalist. She just walks by, and we're all doing our thing. She just kind of smiles and walks on. So I guess maybe being from France, she might have seen it before.
Yeah. That's good. That's good. All right. If you could be one military leader for a day, who would that be?
Oh my gosh, maybe Pat. I
Patton?
would, you know, I could say Chesty Puller, but let's go with Chesty Puller.
Okay. All right. I like it. Can't go wrong with Chesty.
Right.
All right. In the zombie apocalypse, what is your weapon of choice and what anthem will be playing?
Actually, I don't watch Zombie Apocalypse. If my grandson was here, he could tell you all about it because he's asked me all the many years. What would you do in a zombie apocalypse? I said, okay, let's be real, okay. He always got mad. But if I had my choice of weapon, may not be listed, probably be a flamethrower.
Ooh, that's the first time somebody's ever said that one. That's good. I like
Hey,
that.
you gotta put them out of their misery. Do it quick.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Now, what anthem, what song would be playing?
Uh, Go tell it to the Marines.
Oh, that's a good one. Okay. I like it. I like it. All right. What animal best describes your time in service?
Well, let's see. I'm a boar. It's a pig. You look at the
Okay.
Chinese calendar. My wife's a rabbit. I'm a boar. We've been married 55 years, so we'll go with boar.
Okay. No, that's good. 55 years. Congrats to both of you. That's awesome.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, that's good. You don't see that as nowadays. Most
Well, that's
people don't
true.
stay together. So,
I
good
love it
example.
I love it when people say, "Well, if I add up all three of my weddings, I get 55."
Yeah. Oh man. Let's see. Knowing what you know now, would you do it all over again?
Absolutely.
Very nice.
Because I mean, realistically, the person I am, regardless whether it's good, bad, or indifferent, you know, my service brings for good.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. All right. So I always give an opportunity for words of wisdom or anything that you have for the listeners.
My suggestion is if you got a challenge, don't pass it up. You know,
Mm,
go head on to it. And you know, they always say that people succeed had to fail first. You don't know what success is until you fail. So that would be my suggestion. My words of wisdom. You know,
very nice.
give it a try.
Yeah, that's good. That's great words of wisdom right there. All right. Hey, Rusty, thanks for coming on and doing this. I truly appreciate it. I've had fun. Hopefully you had fun while you were doing it as well. Sorry if my cats bothered you going crazy over here.
Well,
Uh,
between your cat and my pen, we're even, right?
there you go. There you go. Sounds good. Well, hey, thanks again for doing it. Much appreciated. I always talk at the end to everybody out there that's thinking about suicide or anything of that nature. So, to everybody out there, if you're struggling and you do need help, don't forget the VA has some great resources. You can always dial 988, press option 1. You can always text 838-255 or go to veteranscrisisline.net and click on the chat icon. Any of those options will put you in contact with somebody that can help you out. But remember, one veteran life lost is one too many. I care about you. I know Rusty cares about you. The whole veteran community cares about you. So please reach out for help. And if you're out there, you're not struggling, reach out to the buddies you served with, ask them how they're doing. And if they need that helping hand, please give it to them. All right, Rusty, one last time. Thank you very much. Don't hang up on me. I'm going to be back here in a minute. But to all the listeners out there, stay motivated. Change your socks. Thanks for tuning in to the Lost Art Project Veterans Voices podcast. Our mission? Simple. Preserve history, one veteran story at a time. If you'd like to support this work, consider making a donation or sponsoring an episode. Every contribution helps us capture and share more stories for future generations. You can learn more and give at thelostart.podbean.com or by clicking the link in the episode's description. Stay motivated, change your socks, and remember, every story matters.